What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the video. So today we got the go-kart running. Check it out. Here it is. So we got the brakes done, tires are mounted, got the shifter working, and the engine in place with all the electronics. It runs and it shifts through all gears, so enjoy the video. Alright guys, so this is where we left off. The engine runs, vibrates a lot, but I bought some rubber washers, so we're going to drill the holes. We'll put the washers in so it's rubber mounted on the back at least. The front is permanently welded, so I cannot put any washers there. And then the wiring only reaches to the seats, so I'm going to go ahead and start extending that up to the dash. Alright, so basically I just welded that piece in and this one over here because the carburetor hits this beam that goes across. So I'm going to cut this beam out and I just wanted some support. So these are the wires I extended right here. You can see the wire goes here, all the way up to the dash where the key is. And when I turn the key, you can see that the neutral light comes on. I thought there might be too much resistance having this long of a wire, but it turns out to be okay. So we just started the bike and it did shift through all gears. I got all the way up to 5th gear and back down to 1st and then neutral. But the problem is, if you look at how much I'm moving the shifter, and back there, it's not really moving. There's a lot of play in it. I mean, if you listen, it will shift into gear. I don't know if you can hear that click. So it will go into gear, but a couple problems. One is it's really close to the exhaust pipes. That's going to get really hot. And there's a lot of play. I think it's also flexing right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely eliminate this whole piece over here. And then we'll just have one big bracket here. Alright, so I got all the linkage put together. So now what I'm going to do is start it and see if it shifts through all gears. And I put the keys in on the axle so you actually see it spinning this time. So I'll set the camera up, we'll start it, and see if it works. Alright, so next we're going to go ahead and extend the wiring for the clutch handle and the start button and the kill switch, and we're going to run it up to there. Alright, so all the wiring is done, and there's a lot of joints here, so I just want to make sure everything works. So I'm going to go ahead, put some fuel in it, and we'll start it up. Alright, so it started up, but it's not running too well. So what I'm going to do is take the carburetor off. I think it's running rich because it made that really loud pop when it wasn't starting. So I'm going to go ahead, take the carburetor off, open it up, and see what's going on. Alright guys, so it's been actually 2 weeks just for this one little part to come that is for the carburetor. So I'm going to install it now, then we'll put the carburetor back onto the go-kart and we'll see how it runs. Alright, so here's the old one. And I don't know if you can see, but there is a hole in it right there. Well, the go-kart's not starting, and I just checked and there's no spark, and I was just thinking, well, what did I change? And I extended all the wiring up to the dash. So I'm just gonna put all the wiring back, and you guys don't want to watch that again, I'm sure, so I'm just gonna skip to when it's done, and hopefully that fixes the spark problem. But yeah, I checked for spark, no spark, it's not starting, so we're gonna put the wiring back. But all I did so far, shorten this dial, and it used to be all the way up at the dash. So now what we're going to do is turn the key and just watch this thing start. For some weird reason though, this light is flickering. I don't know why, but I'll probably just unplug it. But it works, so that is awesome. And all I did literally was just, this was way up at the dash. Oh, hold on. Okay, now that's really weird. All I did was just hit the blinker switch and the engine shut off. Don't tell me that the blinker was the problem the whole time. All right, let's try this again. Alright, so as soon as we put it into gear, the engine doesn't rev up, so we're going to get the key switch and just put it back to original length. Alright, so it's a couple hours later, and the go-kart runs. I can put it into gear and rev it up, so that's the good news. The bad news is I don't think I actually had to put all the wires back. What I actually did was just hook up the kickstand, which then all of a sudden the horn started working. I hooked up the back blinkers and the brake light, and then all of a sudden all the switches for the lights started working and the engine wouldn't shut off when I turned the lights on. It works, and I might not have had to put all the wiring back, so. Alright guys, so the go-kart works. I was thinking I was going to have to replace like all the electronics, but it turns out you need the kickstand for the bike to work right, and you need the headlight and the brake lights hooked up, and the blinkers. And honestly, I'm starting to think that I did not need to put all these wires back to original length. So what I'm going to do now is this clutch, I can't squeeze it with just one hand. I need it to be on something. So I'm going to extend just this right here, and then we'll test it again, make sure it works. And then if that works, maybe we'll just put the key up there as well. And then once we do that and everything works right, we'll be closer to taking it for a test drive. But I'm just going to skip all that and skip to the part where I'll be putting in the steering and a temporary seat as well. Alright, so I just picked up all the wires, put it up here. We got the steering wheel hooked up. The tires turn. For the fuel tank is just sitting there before. So I put some bolts in. I'm just going to weld it right here and then cut off the extra so we can just set it on and bolt it down. So I'm going to turn the go-kart around and we can back it up to the welder. And then we should be very close to taking this for a test ride. Here's what it looks like in the sunlight. You can get a better look at it. I got one shiny rim on there. All the other ones are older, so at some point I might just replace them all. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. And one thing, I didn't realize that the front end is actually pretty high off the ground. Compared to the whole go-kart, it's almost level. It's up just a tiny bit, but it works. Alright guys, so the go-kart moves under its own power. I did want to pull it out to spin it around, so I'm going to do it right now. I just wanted to drive it in and see it actually move. So yeah, it works. Alright guys, I got the wiring for the key all the way up at the dash. Just zip tied everything there for now. We got the fuel tank bolted down. All the extra wires for the back blinkers and the brake lights are up here. I got the GoPro just taped on the fuel tank for now. So we're going to go take it for a test run and just make sure the gears work, the sprockets, the tires, everything's fine. And then, yeah, we'll see how well it works. Alright guys, so the first test run was a success. I noticed a couple things. One, the shifter handle broke. The little bolt it was holding on to snapped off. And I knew I had to strengthen that, but anyways, it broke off. And then also there is a vibration. Obviously in the whole go-kart there's a little bit of vibration everywhere. But I think that sprocket right there, I need to balance it, because when I get to a certain speed, I can just hear this certain vibration, and it's not there at lower speeds. And then, yeah, obviously there's a lot of work left. We got to put in lights, seats, finish all the wiring, extend it all the way back up to the dash, because the length doesn't really affect it much. Put in the rest of the floor, and figure out this whole mess of wires, mounting everything else. So there's quite a bit left. This is the end of today's video, and it turns out there's gonna be a lot more videos on this go-kart, because it's gonna take a lot of effort to get this thing completely finished. But I'm releasing a video now because it's been over a month already. Subscribe to Kingbuilds. You can also follow me on Instagram at KB_Kingbuilds. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.